The best thing you do in your program.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me today. And you know, when Coach first reached out to me and asked me to come, I was afraid I was going to have to put a PowerPoint together in clinic. So this is great. I drove down and just answered some questions, but I definitely don't have all the answers. But the best thing that we do in our program is we make our kids compete for everything. And when I say everything, I mean jersey number, locker. Do you get a T-shirt? Do you get pregame meal? You just compete for everything. We put a big, huge, elaborate point system together for the off season on everything we think that is important. You know, grades, community service, weight room attendance, you name it, fundraising. If you have discipline issues in school, you can lose points and so on. So we put this point system together, and when it's all done, whoever's ranked number one, he gets to pick his jersey. I don't care if you're a senior, you're a sophomore, it doesn't matter. If you're number one, you pick your jersey first. And if there's a senior or a junior who loses his jersey number, shame on him, because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Okay? Now, I'm not such a big jerk that if someone's real close that I'm not going to let that kid get his jersey number. And you know, that's the biggest thing. It just, that creates competition in everything we do. And when you talk about, hey, your jersey number's up for grabs, the incentive that puts on a kid, that's something that's really important to a kid. And I've had some seniors over the years lose their jersey number, lose their locker space, and, you know, whatever, all those different things. But I just think we force our kids to compete in everything we do. And my recommendation is, whatever you value, put points on it and add it up. A couple other things that we throw in there, you know, along with our attendance, every kid in our program has a competition record in the off season. Okay, so you're a basketball player. What level did you play? We played JV. JV team went 15-5. That's his record for the winter. Okay, the kids in the weight room, we do some sort of competition on a daily basis. Might be several guys. Some days we have complete competition days, but we have a clipboard and we mark wins and losses. And if you've won 60% of your things, might have been a push-up contest, might have been a sprint, might have been whatever, you get those points, okay? And we multiply it by 100, but you get 600 points if you get 60% wins. Okay, so trust me when I tell you it's a pain in the neck to administrate, but I think it's well worth it. So kind of a long answer, but force kids to compete.
Coach Frye.
First of all, still trying to bounce back from that 0-20 there. But, that was in 1986 and 87, by the way, many years ago. I learned more football in those 2 years than any other year. You're kind of forced to the wall right there. But mine's very similar to that. We inherited a 21-game losing streak when we came back to St. Mary's. We left. We were the #1 ranked team in the state in 08. Been in the playoffs 7 to 9 years. And 21 straight losses. We had 30 kids at the varsity level. We barely were able to field a 7th and 8th grade team when we came back. So the first two things, the most important things we do are leadership teams. Our leadership teams are the foundation of our program. And really that's taken a lot of the responsibility off of me. I put it back to the leadership captains who I meet with every Wednesday, elected by their teammates. And the second thing is morning lifting. You know, we're going to be in there at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. And we were in this morning at 6 a.m. We had 42 guys in there this morning. And those two things are the biggest things that we do. Community service, church service, involvement in the community are huge on our leadership teams. And we have got so much good favor from the community for all of our kids going to retirement homes, cleaning up somebody's gutter now. At times, is it a pain in the tail a little bit? Yes. And have I delegated it now to my son who's standing back here? Yes. Now at this point, Bo runs our leadership team point system. But our kids every day want to know, where am I at, Coach, on those leaderships? Where's our team at? How many points did we get today? And we have about 20 different categories that we give points for. And then our morning lifting. We run the thing that we had put back in when we came back was we are paid the stipend to lift all of our kids in the school. So in the morning, our in-season guys come in twice, and then our off-season guys come in 3 or 4 times. So we just don't stack up talent-wise with everybody else in the league, and we're going to have to do little things to be successful. So our kids are
Coach Stokes.
I asked our staff. Well, thank you guys for having us. This is really cool for me. But I asked our staff this question, and because you do a lot of things, you put a lot of time, invest in a lot of time stuff, and you kind of, you know, when you're inside the realm of it, you don't see what you do really well. I asked our staff, and they said two things. They said the constant accountability, 24/7, 365. Our kids hear us confronting every little tiny behavior that they had. That doesn't mean being a dick or, you know, being an asshole about it, but there's a constant confrontation of some type of direct conversation with our kids. And then the thing I think probably that we do the best is practice. We're in Minstertopia, I call it. We have kids that just that respect the hell out of a coach. They will do anything that we ask them to do. And our practice pace and efficiency with our staff, they run around everywhere they go. And, we're in and out. I think our kids believe that our goal is to be the best practice team in the country. That's what we talk about. And we want to practice better than anybody in the country. So that's kind of what we hang our hat on and try to go. We just really go during practice, which I think steals us a lot of reps and gives us a little bit of confidence to go compete on Friday nights. They're not afraid because they feel like they've outworked people from the start of camp to another week.
You know, veteran question, because all these guys have coached in multiple different places. What did you wish you would know now then that you do now? Like, what would you do different if you were to go back to Ursuline or Urbana or Danville? What would you do different? How can you look back and say, damn, I wish I would have used this way?
You know, the thing that first of all, how many head coaches are there? Okay, and how many assistants? Raise your hand. Okay, so all you assistants who want to be a head coach, the thing that I would say, I mean, there's so many things that you don't know that you didn't realize or you took for granted and all those different things. And I think, to me, I didn't realize how hard it was to put together a quality staff where guys feel like they are there for the right reason, have the right purpose, you know, moving along their career track, you know, whether they want to be an offense coordinator or head coach someday or whatever. Have camaraderie within that staff, and all of them are good coaches, and that is extremely challenging. And I know when I was at Ursuline, it probably took me 4 years to get my staff right. Okay, and I don't know how the other head coaches feel that way, but it took me that long. And it was, you know, add this guy, remove that guy, and so on and so forth. You know, one or two guys, and finally felt like we had it right. And then as soon as you have it right, someone goes and gets a job somewhere else as a head coach or something. So you're continually battling that. I think that would be the one thing that, man, I had no idea, and I really took that for granted. And it's a challenging thing as a head coach. And take that one step further, all you assistant coaches out there, I would just say, you know, work your butt off and just be the best coach on your staff, okay? And you don't have to know the most X's and O's or be able to make, you know, halftime adjustments necessarily. Just don't be that guy that isn't blessing his butt for the program you're in. And that would be the best advice I could give you. I don't care what your career aspirations are, but don't be that guy, okay? That's the guy who doesn't turn his paperwork in on time, you know, for CPR validation or whatever. You know what I mean? The guy who's a couple minutes late for the wait. Be that guy, okay? Be the guy that the head coach looks to when he needs something done. And if you're the guy that he's always asking, there's a reason he's asking you that, because he trusts you and you're doing a good job. So those are a couple of things.
Mine kind of dovetails on that. Obviously, I'd have been walking on vacation. Became head coach when I was 26, and I would have waited 5, 6, 7 more years. And there's a lot of this head coaching stuff that you get away from coaching. And what you're doing is you're making sure this guy's got his paperwork in, you're making sure this guy's shoes are in it, you're taking care of this grade in that class. So really, as I look back to it, you know, I am done here. I think it would be a nice experience to go back, and it helps be that assistant just doing the little things that need to be done. So, and as Coach said, I wouldn't have came back to St. Mary's if I didn't know that I was going to have a tremendous staff when I came back. All the guys at St. Mary's are guys that either played for me or coached for me in the past, and they're all teachers in the middle. So otherwise, putting a staff together in today's times with the way teaching has changed, it is very, very difficult. So I would have been a lot more patient than I would have done waiting for that opportunity.
I was 23 when I got our head coaching job at my alma mater, Urbana. I still lived at home with my mom. I would have done 3 things differently. I would have invested more time in our staff, which I had no clue what I was doing, so I probably didn't know what I was doing anyway. So I would have invested way more time in character development. I was so young and I was like so gung ho, like trying to prove myself that I was, able to be a head coach. That it was just trying to win, so you could prove and get credibility with your kids, and that you felt like you were going to do things the right way. And then, certainly not least, I would have read more. So I feel like our program has changed since I've become a major reader of books. But that's kind of a weird answer, but I feel like that's what I would go back and do.
A little bit of the, oh, go ahead.
And then before we get into part.
Yeah. Why buy the cow when the milk's free, man?
A little bit for the veteran coaches. How has program organization changed through the years? Like I heard an interview with Coach Trussell the other day at the FCA, and he said, I don't even recognize the game anymore. So maybe from an X's and O's standpoint, I know that. We played on with Landorf, and they had played a great game with St. Mary's, and I watched St. Mary's, and I was such a fan of their program. I couldn't believe, I thought they had a new staff because they were the shotgun. I didn't know what they were doing. So they were diehard belly, and so how has the game changed, and how, I don't know if this is making sense, but organizing a program with that.
All right. So he sent me these questions beforehand, and this is one question I really kind of struggled with, because as I go back to when I started, I don't know that the nuts and bolts have changed all that much as far as what we do. Calendar might have changed a little bit. Technology certainly has changed. To me, that's something that you continue got to keep up on. Obviously, X's and O's evolve, and you got to stay sharp that way. But I think I can attribute that to the fact that I had some really good assistant coaching experiences before I became a head coach, and I used those things kind of as the backbone for what we do. So I was an assistant coach for Tom McDaniels for 4 years. Obviously, a veteran coach, very, he knows what he's doing. If you came and watched us, you'd see a lot of similarities as far as things that he did. I worked for Gary Barber for 2 years. He did some great things. Kind of working from those two guys, their basic high school setup, and then what I tried to do, I GA'd for Jim Tressel for 3 years at Youngstown State, and for a year and a half in Indiana under John Haycock, and I tried to implement as much college-like aspects to the off-season program as we could, right? And it's challenging in high school, but those were some things. But the general nuts and bolts, it's pretty similar to what it was my first year as a head coach. So
obviously the on-the-field game has changed, but really the biggest thing I've seen are the expectations for the assistant coaches in the classroom. Those guys, when I go in the classroom and they're having to film themselves, and I don't even know the names of all things anymore. You guys, your assistants, they got to film themselves, they got to go up for renewal, they got to send in their pamphlet. I got a lot of young guys that are under 30, so they're spending a lot of extra classroom time they never had to spend before. And the demands, proficiency testing, the demands in the classroom is so much more than it has been in the past. For those guys, it's hard for them to balance out and do all the little extra things that are necessary. So I think maybe you should almost interview their spouse when you interview them at times. Fortunately, the guys I came back to, I knew all the guys there, and my own son, so that's a beneficial part. And parents have changed. When I speak a lot at different organizations, say kids change coach, and I said, well, not as much as their parents have changed. I think that you spend a little more time making sure they feel good at times to make sure they get there. Let's be honest with that. And so as a head coach and as assistants, we're doing our best to build a relationship. We can get that relationship built with them. We get to know that kid. Our leadership teams have 10 kids on them with one coach, and that coach has to know those 10 kids inside and out. So that they got to do. So if I have an issue with a young man, that coach is responsible for making sure that issue is taken care of. You got to know everything about their family, you got to know everything about their parents, everything that needs to go there. So that relationship certainly helps with a lot of fire.
I guess the next of those that wasn't on the list. So, how married are you guys to skiing? How married are you to what you do? And then what kind of consideration do you have this time of year? Listen, we're going to run this and this. You know, I see Coach White's team at Davidson. They look the same as they did 5 years ago. I see, and they kick ass. I see Coach Hill's team at Liberty, and one year they were a pretty diverse wing T team, and they were kicking ass, and now they're air raid. They're kicking ass. So how do you guys manage that?
Love this question, and there's a lot of ways to be successful. I was talking about Keith Wakefield earlier up at Terry High School, and state runners up this year, and coached against him my first couple years at Ursuline. He was in Akron St. Bede's. And if I pulled that film out, I could scout what Perry's doing this year. Okay, and he's been amazingly consistent over the years. I'm like the polar opposite of that. Okay, so there's a lot of ways to be successful. I'm the type of guy. Right now, we're having staff meetings evaluating who our best personnel from the skill position standpoints are, and what formations do we need to be in to get those guys on the field. And if it's 4 wides, we're going to be 4 wides. If it's 2 backs and a tight end, we're going to be that. And I've had years where we've been completely spread. I've had years where we've been, pro personnel and running off tackle and everything in between. And I think, my philosophy is it's our job to put kids in a position to make plays. And every year, your best characteristics are going to be different from his. And if you're my guy as a senior, I got to find a way to make you successful. Maybe it's not running the same play. So, we obviously want to have as much carryover from year to year as we possibly can, but, there's a chance we're going to look very different from year to year as well. The best example I can give you, in 2008, we went 15-0. And we ran power off tackle and counter and ISO. That's what we ran. And play action. That's what we ran. And we went 15-0. If I would have run that same offense in 09, we wouldn't have made the playoffs. Just with the personnel we had. We had a small line. We didn't have a tight end. We didn't have a true fullback. So we scrapped it, went to spread, and won a state championship in 09 and looked completely different than we did in 08. So, that's my philosophy. I know it's not what everybody's philosophy. There's a lot of guys been successful doing it the opposite way, but that's what we've always been. I think just look at your personnel and be willing to adjust and be flexible with your personnel.
Coach White, where are you at? In 1998, I was the first outside coach in 39 years to come through the door at St. Mary's. Coach Bachman had won 3 state championships and been there 35 years. Coach Pretty, God bless him, died of a brain tumor right as I was coming through the door as D coordinator for 28 years to go for 4 years. So when I came through, about my 6th year, before I talk about philosophy, I changed a little thing on the front of the jersey. I put riders right there. I took when I came back and inherited the 21-game losing streak when we came back, I heard more about sock change than I did about the 21-game losing streak. Instead of wearing the high pull-up white socks with the 3 stripes, they wore black socks. They did. So I probably heard that 50 times about the socks. So we pretty much stayed the same in the wing T side of things. And, we didn't punt in 3 playoff games. We lined up one time and faked it, but it's just what we do, and our kids know that. We've got little guards, and they got to be able to run. And, hopefully, that still is glamorous enough. We do run it. We have been a shotgun a little bit. My son was a receiver in college, so we put this whole package in so we don't embarrass ourselves in 7-on-7 at that point. And we did actually use some of it, and it's all based on wing T principles. Having coached some all-star games too, we used the shotgun in those all-star games with wing T. But in St. Mary's, if you want to stay alive, which I would like to do, and keep doing this game, I'm going to keep running the wing T and keep going with that. And we've made a few subtle changes, and each year we'll subtly change it, but we're going to stay on the same base.
And you between those two? Or?
Yeah. I had a great learning experience this year. We graduated a 3-year starter quarterback that could just rip it. We had a Division I receiver that we could throw it to anytime we wanted. And we graduated 19 seniors from last year's class and had a bunch of inexperienced kids. We didn't have a quarterback. So me personally, I enjoy coaching our offensive line in a gap in an inside zone scheme. But so I am kind of married to that a little bit. But as far as structurally and getting our best kids the ball, it doesn't matter how we do it. It's probably just more so how good they are at doing stuff when we try to match that with what we're doing. But we became a quarterback-centric run game team offensively this year. And because of our personnel at Minster, we're an odd-stack defense just because we want as many guys up on their feet running and flying. We're small, we're little, but we'll scrap a little bit. We want as many guys up on their feet running. I think that's the best way to do that from our standpoint. But married to a scheme, I don't think we have to do whatever we need to do to get our best kids involved.
Let's talk staff organization. Some of these can be shorter answers too. If you want, like, what are your expectations of your staff in the offseason?
My expectation is everybody's there every day unless you're coaching another sport. That's different from a lot of people. I don't have money to pay everybody. We pay the kind of key guys who run the weight room. But to me, going back to when I was a player, I came through a program where, you know, 2 coaches would be in the weight room and they worked their butts off and the kids were working hard. Then the rest of the staff would join us in June and start talking about how we don't work hard enough. And I just remember being resentful, like, where the hell have you been since January? Like, I didn't miss a day. I haven't seen you since the season ended. So to me, if you are asking a kid to do something, the coaches better be willing to do it as well. Now, that said, I'm not so stubborn that, you know, if a coach has a family thing, he's got to miss, okay, that's fine, I get it. Communicate it just like we ask the kids to do. If you have a legitimate reason to miss, you do what you got to do. You know, my son's in 8th grade, he plays basketball. You know, I sneak out a couple minutes early to catch his basketball game sometimes. So, you know, you got to be flexible that way. But to me, again, assistants, don't be the guy who doesn't come to the weight room. I don't know what your head coach mandates, but my guys, when I hire them, I flat out tell them, don't plan on getting paid, and if you think this is just, you know, August to December, you're wrong. It's year round, and you're expected to be there in the off season.
And you say you meet now, what, bi-weekly, monthly?
Okay, so we generally, as a full staff, meet once a month in the off season. We will meet. We're going to start offensive meetings here, go every other week here until we kind of get through all the self-scouting and clinics and all those things. So, but full staff once a month, and O&D, you know, maybe once or twice a month.
And we'll come back to self-scouting.
Yep.
So I think that's interesting. Geron and I talked about that.
Yep.
Coach Frye, staff, off-season.
I'm pretty flexible. We sit down and we just talk after the season. And the guys, most of them have played the same areas, like I said. And so they're also friends away from the field. So they respect each other. What do you want to cover? What do you got? And so we'll divide things up. And very seldom do I ever have to intervene on anything. So like 5 of our guys will take the mornings, and another 5 guys will come in after school, and I'll just float in and out whenever. And tomorrow morning probably won't. We'll probably get back later tomorrow morning. So I'm already telling you, Bo, you're covering in the morning. Okay. So as we go back, but but they divide it up real well and work together in that way. So and then staff meetings, our first ones at the end of the month, but we're pretty much on the same page. We're all in the building. We have 1 kindergarten teacher. I can't believe he can do that every day, but he's real good with the little kids camp. He does a great job with those little guys. And 1 kindergarten teacher, but the rest of us are in our 6 through 12 building. It's 1 big building, so they're either in the junior high or high school. So we'll just bump down the hallway and talk to each other and I try to a couple times a week just email or call the kindergarten teacher when I haven't seen in the weight room. So structures are flexible.
Every time I think about this question, I think about how moronic we are. Our staff, they're a bunch of factory workers or in-town jobs in Minster. None of them are teachers, so we don't get them in the weight room ever. It's usually me and my buddy in the weight room. We don't meet as a staff very much at all in the winter or spring. We constantly hold each other accountable. Like, where are you getting better at? What are you doing? What books are you reading? Who are you studying? Who are you talking to? We do that. I do have hungry people. We do have hungry people that care about Minster football because they're Minster guys. But if you told them tonight that they're no longer coaching football, they'd be okay. Their lives would go on. They're not like diehard football people. They just care about Minster. So they're great people that aren't real interested in doing all that other shit that like, football coaches want to do. So I don't demand that of them. I got it. I'll take care of it. We run the weight room with a ton of kids. There's like 2 guys in there. It's not safe. It's not. That's what we got, and that's what we do. We meet. I try to meet with each position coach in like May to make sure their shit's in line for the standards they're going to hold their kids to, their key coaching points, and the 3 to 5 individual drills that they get, and then we roll out the balls in July and go coach. So we don't spend a lot of time together. We spend a lot of time in a group text message, but we don't meet or hardly do anything. That's really bad.
But everybody does it different. I will add this. Coach Stokes came to our first practice this year, and he said, what did you go through the practice plan and meet with your staff? And I said, well, we're all here right now. We're all just coaching. So it worked for us. You know, I mean, it worked. So everybody is different. Like I went through my phase where we met all the time, and it was good. But I'm okay with, I understand not everybody cares about it the same amount. And it's okay. I mean, no one's going to love Hartley football as much as I do. And the offense coordinator, and it's okay. They still love it a lot. Now like Coach Reardon said, you know, we have about 4 guys in the weight room, and we're doing it and doing well and the guy who just showed up on day 1 of lifting or day 1 of practice, like the coach love and hold on to every word that he says, and they haven't seen him, and we've been busting our ass. We find that a little bit resentful, right? But that happens, and it's okay, and it works, and that's reality in our world. So I think it is all different. So I think this is good.
The one thing that we do is we take our practice scripts and schedule, and as a staff, like the day before practice starts in July or whatever, we go out and walk through it. We walk through our practice, which has really helped us from an organization standpoint, from a tempo standpoint. That's been really big for our coaches.
That's good. That's good. Think about your best coach and your least experienced coach. Like, where do you put your best coach on your staff, and then your least experienced coach, you know, at the same time? Well, not worst coach, I don't know, like, the guy who just wants a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, you're okay with just making sure he yells loud and gets kids excited, and that's okay, and they love that, and that's okay. We're not talking about that guy, but that's okay. We need that guy. I think we all need that guy, but he's important. The kids love him, and at least in my world, he is important. But I'm talking about the least experienced, the guy who, I see the little Fryes, they're medium now, but when they're little first coming on, where are you putting them? You're not putting them with the, you know, I don't know, what position? I'll let you guys answer.
All right, so I think it's a great question, and I'll tell you theory, and then I'll tell you practice. And in theory, for me, my 2 best coaches would be my O-line coach and my defensive coordinator. Because I'm more of an offensive guy, and because O-line's the one place I would never coach. I know what they're supposed to do. I don't know how the hell to teach them to do it, or a technique and all those things. And there's a million guys out there who can do that better than me. So those would be the 2 places that I would try to put my best guys. Now, that's theory. In practice right now, my best coach is probably my quarterback coach. I feel like we have a very good staff. I feel like we have a lot of good coaches, but you know, theory and practice are 2 different things. So you try to put this big puzzle together with all these guys. We have a big staff. We are fortunate that way that we're able to have a lot of guys on staff. Sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse. So there's good and bad to it. But you know, theory and practice I think are different. Again, try to get guys in spots that they're comfortable, that they're you know, feel like they're promoting their career the way they want to. If they're trying to go be a coordinator or head coach or whatever. And again, I think from maybe the biggest thing that I'm worried about is having staff involvement. We just spend too much time together to have that guy in the room that just is the cancer. You know what I mean? And if there's a guy that from that standpoint doesn't fit, man, I try to get him out of the program. It just, there's too many hours invested. And you know, we're fortunate. I think our wives get along, our families get along, our staff gets along, and it's not perfect, but you know, you try to eliminate as much of that friction as you can. And You know, so those are some things I'm looking for.
Freshman football, and 2 teams in our league have dropped their freshman team this year. Our playing were 12 freshmen and some of the other teams. So I get real concerned about keeping freshmen around. So when I was at St. Mary's before, I tried to take just that unique personality there that would keep kids out from football and put him with the freshman team. When we came back, we're right on the borderline. We're going to drop down to D4 is where we're headed. So we're right on, we're just like 4 boys into D3 now. So what we decided to do, the classes being a little smaller, was bring those freshmen with us, but not treat them with kid gloves. So we cut them a lot of breaks. We cut them out of things, bring them in a little later than 2 days, get them out of there. So rather answer your question, I'm taking kind of 2 volunteer guys that are great personalities, and they're the freshman coaches, and that takes care of all the freshman paperwork, takes care of those guys on the side, lets me know before practice, coach, kind of hold this kid out. We want to keep those kids out for football, is what we're trying to do. But also, finding a varsity staff is difficult. Finding a complete freshman staff sometimes is almost impossible. So we decided individually, we split our team into a blue-gold group. So gold guys being some of our lower-level sophomores with freshmen, and they practice with one staff, other groups with the other staff. So they're getting coached by the varsity coaches, but with kid gloves. And to answer that, I would agree. In the wing T, my guard and center coach better be pretty doggone good, because that's awful important, and a defensive coordinator. So those 2 areas are the first 2 guys I've got to put in place. I don't coach a position, so when I came back, I said, guys, I'm going to coach you guys, coach the coaches. We film everything, workouts, summer camps, everything, and then I'll watch the film when I go home and go back to the coaches and communicate with those coaches, and then they'll need to take care of the practice, and I just float around and make sure that's being taken care of. And again, that freshman guy, the way he handled freshmen is important, and guard and center coach and the wing team and the D coordinator.
We try to put our highest energy guys coaching on the defensive side of the football, and then our tough guys, those tough coaches. We try to put those guys with the interior guys, and I don't know if I have like a specific thing. I try to put our most disciplined. We run a hot stack, so we try to put our most disciplined guy, the guy that like hangs his hat on discipline and doing the right things all the time, with our overhangs from a schematic standpoint, but. We have a set staff. Our big fat guy, he coaches the offensive line. Our skinny young dude, he coaches the defensive backs. It's kind of, they just, that dude ain't coaching the defensive backs, and that dude ain't coaching the offensive line, so we don't really have an option. We just, stereotypes. Yeah. That's just like, for sure.
This one could be a little bit lengthy, but take us through your coaching staff, what you do in season. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and really the weekend, and how you guys split up the scouting, or do you, or whatnot.
Talking about like meeting wise?
I'm saying meeting practice. So we practice at 3:15. When are coaches there? What are you doing after? What's Monday look like? Tuesday, from a coaching standpoint, and then weekend, big one.
Okay, so. Let me start with the weekend. Saturday morning, coaches are coming in early. We're watching the film together.
How early is early?
6 or 7, generally on Saturday morning. Depends on what kind of mood I'm in Friday night after the game. But come in, grade the film as a staff. Kids are coming in at 9, generally, either to watch the film if you're a varsity player or get ready to go play a JV game. You know, they're coming in. JV guys maybe a little earlier if they're playing on the road. Saturday, basically how we do it is we 2-platoon our staff. So the defensive staff and the offensive staff, I don't care when they work, just get your stuff done. So generally offensively, we'll go through a game on Saturday, maybe 2 games if we're feeling ambitious, but we'll do most of our work on Sunday. Defense sometimes works different than we do. The thing that I mandate is on Sunday at some point we're going to have a full staff meeting. and we're going to set the tone for the week. We're going to go over grades from the previous players at the game and all those different things. Talk about the JV game, who did well, who you need to get a look, all those different things. So we will have a big full staff meeting on Sunday at some point. And basically, I leave it up to my assistants. Are we going early morning? Are we going evening? Whatever. I don't care, just as long as we get the work done. After that, we really don't meet as a full staff again until the day before the game. And the day before the game, we're going to make sure we're clean on adjustments, on game plan, on, you know, so-and-so's coming back from an injury, is he ready to go? How good do we feel? You know, all those different things. And during the week, we do a lot of short, quick, informal meetings as necessary. Okay? We do some film time every day before practice. You know, I'm talking 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. Some of it's us, some of it is our opponent. You know, that's kind of a lot of things thrown at you, but that's kind of the general setup. Not a whole lot of meeting as a staff during the week, other than, you know, hey, offensive staff's going to get practice organized real quick, but you know, I handle the scripting, and the defense coordinator handles the scripting on the other side, so we got to take care of those things.
We still had, until next year, we still had Monday JV games. I've been fighting that, and all of a sudden I looked around the room, and the oldest head coach, Coach Reiner and I, Coach Bach, kept fighting it for years because he wanted to go see his boys play on Saturday. So we're going to switch over to Saturday JV games and freshman games, which will change the logistics of our league a little bit this year. So, but our defensive staff will come in early. They're usually in there about 6 o'clock and in the morning on Saturday, and then offensive guys come in with me, so we get there at 7:30, and we'll bring the varsity guys in. We lift on Saturday morning, and JVs will have a short practice for the Monday game. That was, and then pretty much after I meet with the guys, we break the film down together with the kids, like everyone does. And we'll let the offensive and defensive staff split apart and start to put their game plan together. We'll stay with number one and get out of there. Then they'll meet on their own. So the defensive staff will get together on their own, maybe later Saturday, or they'll come in early Sunday. And the offensive staff, we really won't meet again after that point. So we won't meet again until Sunday night at 6. We'll have a short 2-hour meeting. That'll be it. Be out of there. And in our league, again, just like a lot of you guys, there aren't a whole lot of coaches changing. So the schemes are pretty similar. We don't, everything's done on huddle now, so in 3 weeks, so we're out of the thing where I used to be the guy at Mount Vernon in the early 80s, had to go bring the 8mm, I think it was 8mm film down. So I was the youngest guy, and everybody else was in their 40s and 50s, and sit there until it was done, and take it back to Mount Vernon and drive it back down there. So yeah, that's pretty simple from that standpoint. We're only in pads one day. We pad Tuesday. Other than that, we're not going to be in pads the rest of the week. And when my guys walk in on Sunday night, yeah, I'm a pretty much a stickler on everything by the minute. So they're going to have everything laid out for the entire week. Minute by minute at that point what's going to happen. Now, are we a little flexible each day? Yeah, we may meet at the end of the day and change a little thing in the meeting as we go from there. But again, the whole week's laid out. We're going to do game plan wise at that point. Other than that, we're similar to everybody else.
I tell our guys that I don't care what you do, just don't shortchange our kids. You were a high school football player at some point, and that was probably the most important thing you possibly ever be a part of, and some of the best memories of your life. So whatever you do and decide to do or not do not shortchange our kids. So as far as the weekend goes, when we're done with Friday nights, up in German Catholic land, they go drink beer. Our kids probably are too. They go drink beer and go do their thing. I go back and watch the tape. Our kids, I still drive an hour back and forth to Minster, so I sleep in the coach's office. We go get breakfast in the morning, and then we bring our kids in, our varsity kids in at 9 a.m. just to watch the tape and go through things. Our assistant coaches don't have to be there; they don't have to come. We designate JV guys for the JV game, but I just tell them, like, don't shortchange the kids. If if you've got something to teach or coach or you need to get things fixed, like get your ass in there and take care of it. But then after that, we don't meet again until we don't show up again until practice Monday. Our staff, I just tell them, don't shortchange your kid. You're supposed to prepare. You prepare your position group, prepare your whatever it is. Make sure you are prepared on Monday at scouting report meeting or walkthrough. Our defensive coordinator and me meet at my house Sunday night at like 5 o'clock because he works third shift. So it's usually like a formation rec, make sure we're checked to go. We don't adjust a whole lot of things. We kind of do what we do. And that's it. The same thing, group text message is probably the biggest thing to make sure our guys are prepared. But Monday's a scouting report meeting ran by me and our defensive coordinator, and Tuesday's a defensive day, an offensive review, Wednesday's an offensive day with a defensive review, Thursday's a run through, and our guys just kind of prepare themselves. I backed away from the long meetings and all that stuff. We used to do that, and they used to just drive those average coaches insane. They're average coaches. They don't want to do that. They don't understand the relevance or the importance of doing any of that. They don't even know how to watch film. Nor do they care about it. So we'll just take care of it. Our defense coordinator inserts all this shit on Huddle. I insert all this stuff on Huddle. Just take care of it. And then the rest of the guys, it's been cool because the ownership of that, instead of like, yeah, you're gonna show up, you're gonna take care of it, you're gonna write notes, and we don't do it. They've kind of done that on their own because we got really good people. They're not football coaches, but they take pride and take care of their stuff and preparing the kids. So we don't really demand a whole lot out of them. Just kind of say, take care of your shit. It happens.
I think Huddle could be a whole different clinic. Like how different coaches use Huddle. How many send stuff directly to the kids. I mean, we don't bring the full team in anymore on Saturdays. If you're injured, you got to come in, and the offensive line comes in with the offensive line coach. But that's more of a camaraderie thing. I mean, it's the 4 plays. Dude, you got reach, play 42, or send it. What happened? Look at your right foot, outside foot. So the way Huddle's changed, and all of us probably do something different with it. I think that's a fascinating topic that we could learn from in itself. How we've all chosen to use it. The days of starting, I'm not insulting anybody, I don't think, but the days of starting from the first play and just watching all the way through for 2.5 hours, I think are becoming obsolete, at least at some level, on Saturday morning. So I think that's an interesting thing to kind of put in the back pocket. You've answered a lot of the off-season program, but I got 2 questions for you. A quick one, how do you handle in-season athletes? Coach Reardon already said how he handles in-season athletes. They score. But workouts, lifting, what do you expect from them?
Basketball players or wrestlers right now?
Basketball and wrestlers right now.
They're in season.
Okay.
We don't touch them, just like I don't want the basketball coach to touch guys during the football season.
Absolutely.
So, I feel like we have real good this going on with the different programs in our school right now, and I think a big part of that is we let each other handle the guys in the season.
And that's okay.
Yep.
It's okay.
So our guys not in season right now. Right now we're going 3 days a week with a bonus day on Saturday. And Saturday, it's not mandatory. We do it Saturday morning at 8, just because I like to see who's willing to get up out of bed on 7:30 to be there at 8 on Saturday. Okay, and we'll have, generally 25 guys or so on Saturday morning, where we have about 60s to 65 during the week. So, and those 25 guys are, varsity football players who are taking it more seriously than the freshmen and all those things. So,
Coach Frye, in-season guys, basketball wrestlers.
They pay us to run all the sport with lifting, so we open in the morning. So those guys, and we get along great with those coaches. They don't run a weight program, so they send their kids in 2 mornings a week. Some of the kids are non-football guys. They don't really chase after those guys who are not showing up. Just tell the coach they're not showing up and go from there. So that is kind of nice to be able to do that in the morning with those kids. And then, we go, right now we're scheduling 4 days, with the weather and everything that goes on, hoping to get 3 a lot of times. So we'll get 3 in. And we did start a powerlifting team last year because we got some kids that just kind of came out of the woodwork and wanted to be part of that. So we got involved in that, and it was kind of a way to get some kids out and give them something to do that weren't doing anything in the winter. And so we did 3 meets in the winter, and the young coaches handle that. It was really a pretty successful thing for us last year, and not that that's our main thrust, but it's a way to keep those kids out.
Yeah, we're really, really, really fortunate. we lift our guys all year round. I've got our basketball team, our whole basketball program in the mornings with our football team. We don't have wrestling, so but our baseball team is in with us in the mornings during season, and our track team is in with us in the mornings during season. It's taken a lot of like direct, real conversations with people, because honestly, the people that aren't lifting, in my opinion, are completely uneducated. So you just educate them, and I try to bombard them with education. And the end of the line question is, what's best for kids? So we've gotten really good with that, and our other coaches are okay with it too. They don't know what the hell we're doing with them, but we also take care of them. Like we don't tax their ass the day before a game, but they're in there. They're investing time and effort with the rest of our team. So I think that's been a big piece to what we're doing. Our basketball coach fights it a little bit, but this year, so we're going to lift our basketball kids twice a week with us. But our football kids went to our basketball coach, our quarterback led it. I didn't say anything to him. He said, we're going to lift the third day, coach. So they just went to the basketball coach and said, coach, we're going to lift the third day. He goes, no, you're not. And they said, yes, we are. And he asked me, like, can they lift on Sundays? I said, sure, they can lift on Sundays, but Sunday's a church day for those guys, away from everything. So he said, our quarterback said, I want to lift on Thursday mornings. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. We play Friday, Saturday. And he goes, that's not what's best for our team. I said, but these guys, like, I'm never turning down a kid that wants to do extra work. So you get your ass in there and do that. And he said, okay, that's fine, as long as you know our shooting percentage don't go down, whatever. But so we get our kids 3 days a week. Our basketball kids lift. I just wanted 2, they wanted 3, so we're lifting those guys 3 days a week. Track is 3 days a week. Baseball's 3 days a week. Our baseball coach doesn't bat an eye to it. He doesn't know if any kids show up in the weight room. He doesn't care. He just coaches his baseball team like they woke up at 7:30 and rolled out of bed and went to school. Our best pitcher threw 2 no-hitters in a perfect game the days up. He lifted that morning. So we just try to educate them, but we also try to take care of our kids. We're not the meathead football coaches that are like taxing their ass and like trying to be big jack football players. We want what's best for kids. So if they're good baseball players, we'll take care of them. If they're good basketball players, we'll take care of them. We want them to win and have success and still get stronger.
And that takes into practice organization. If you look at off season, are any of you 3 using the 7-man workout rule, where you can work out, you can do football stuff, whatever you want? Last year it was 4 guys, this year it's 7 guys. Are any of you guys organized that way or coaching that way?
Okay, so we were really in disarray last year because our facility is completely getting torn up and rebuilt, and we couldn't get a field if we wanted one last year. So this year we have more space, and once the weather breaks, I'm going to challenge, and it's going to kind of be a do what's best for kids type thing. Kids want extra work, but I'm going to challenge my position coaches to, 1 hour per week. Probably after spring break, and get your position group out there and do some position specific stuff. But we didn't do any of it last year.
That's right.
It's kind of a happy go overboard with it, and so probably we'll do something in there with what we'll do. We'll come up with the time as it gets into spring and work it out. And we use Sunday evenings sometimes actually out on our turf. We come in at 5 o'clock on Sunday night. If guys want to bring a group in, or get a break from the schedule things, maybe walk through some things of that point. So that's kind of something we're going to meet at the end of the month. We're still kind of thinking.
We don't touch it. We don't. Our kids. I think we have 76 kids in the weight room for football right now, and over half of them are involved in something else. And then in the springtime, last spring we had 4 kids not involved in the spring sport of probably 65. So we don't touch it. You don't need to touch a ball from our standpoint. What we're teaching them probably wouldn't be right anyway. If we were doing position coaching, just let them go do other things. It's Mactopia, man.
I'm interested in that one more than anything else. Because I think if you were a basketball guy, it would be the 4-man rule would be great. Practice all year round with it. And if you were a baseball guy, it would be good. Those kind of things. And then 7 with football. I just don't know how. I know that there's something there, and I'm in agreement that you can overdo it. See, like, the kids don't want to practice football all year round, tackling and blocking. Nobody wants to forearm shiver for 8 months. You know, I get that, but there's something there. I love the Sunday nights because I think we've got kids that want to do that. I think there's something there to that, and I mean, I'd love to hear from more people, so I think that's good. So when how would you use your camp days then? You got 10 camp days this summer.
Yeah, we just kind of set our tentative summer schedule, and what we're going to do this year is the second and third week of July. We're going to concentrate everything right there. I've done it a bunch of different ways. That's one thing, going back to how have I evolved. Man, early on we would do one camp day per week and do that all summer type thing. And I've done it at the beginning of the summer. This year we're pushing it a little more towards the end. And part of that is we have more guys playing basketball this year than we did last year. So let them do all their stuff in June and get it out of their system. Or we can get them back going after the 4th of July. But hey, I'm still looking for the best way to do that. So
lots of 7-on-7s, not that many.
I'm not a huge 7-on-7 guy. I'm an offensive guy, and I just think it's fake football. I want my quarterback having someone rush him and have someone in his face, and you go to 7-on-7, and I think quarterbacks develop a lot of bad habits during 7-on-7 and a false sense of security. I think it's great for defense to get adjusted and all those different things, but I'm not a huge 7-on-7 guy. We'll do a couple, but I'm not one of these guys that schedule them every week and all that stuff.
That's right.
Very similar. I've evolved through the years too. We give our kids 3 weeks off at the end of the year, and then we get back in June and start to lift again. And we don't have our first camp day. We take another 10-day break at the 4th of July. We have our first camp day when we get back the 4th of July, and we'll go 10 days. And at that point, just work them in and out at different times. We Coldwater and Minster come over, and we don't do any 7-on-7 tournaments or anything, just a glorified 7-on-7, slow down, teach, and we do a board for our defensive guys. Liberty Benton comes up too, so there's 3 of them that we'll have next year. And the days that we have 7-on-7s, we'll let the linemen come in, or obviously since we're using a camp day in the morning, and do some line camp work those days. But we found it's good. We have a lot of kids playing multiple sports, basketball, baseball, and summer baseball is huge in our community and our entire area. So it just works out better with everything that's going on to back off and wait and try to push it all together.
Yeah, we don't do anything in June. That's kind of basketball and baseball time. We do go to the state 7-on-7, just kind of like our kickoff to our football part of our summer, I guess. But we just take our varsity team to that, we throw, and then we come home, and it's kind of just like our first install. We go there a little bit early, and we install our passing game right then and there, and it's always a cluster, and we always feel like we're going 0-10 when we get back home, which is kind of cool because it creates an urgency for the rest of the summer. But our camp days, we use them as a 2-a-day. Essentially, it's an hour-and-a-half practice, and then we eat, and then we go with another hour-and-a-half, one offense, one defense. We don't touch special teams at all in July. The best thing we've done is, we call it Camp Minster, is we bring them in at 6 in the morning, we lift them, we have a practice, we feed them lunch, we have another practice, we walk to dinner at one of the local old school restaurants, and then we come back and throw 7-on-7 and do offensive line stuff, and then we have huge team meetings and we all sleep in the gym for 2 nights. This is 3 days, 2 nights, but we had Mechanicsburg up for a whole day of practice. And just stuff. It's really cool. We used to go to off-site to like a college campus or someplace else. Those were always cool because it's kind of like River Titans. They come back home and they genuinely care about each other a little bit. But this Camp Minster, when we were in the school, we stayed in Minster and we had food for them there, and it was a whole lot of time spent together. So we use our 10 days that way, but nothing crazy.
What about August practices? How are they? Morning, evening, 1 big practice, 2 days, 3 days?
We do 3 days. And generally how we set it up is 3 shorter practices with short breaks in between. We'll go for about an hour and 45 minutes practice 1. Practice 1 is individual and group work. Practice 2, they don't take 30 minutes off. Get them water, get them some fruit, take the shoulder pads off real quick. We don't even go back to the school. We just stay on the field, find a tree, get under the tree. get some water and some fruit. Then the second practice will be about an hour and a half. We'll hit special teams, and we will always hit some sort of situation in that second practice. Goods versus goods, and ones, twos, threes, as many as we can. Special situation, and we will just teach. Today's emphasis is third down, whatever. We'll go third and 38, 30, third and 7, and so on, going against each other, keep score. We'll do 2-minute one day, we'll do goal line, we'll do a coming out situation, we'll pin deep. So every day through camp we focus on a different situation. That's the emphasis. And special teams. Okay, then another 30 minutes off, water and fruit again, and then come back. The last practice is completely team, and we might get some inside run and some of that stuff, but it's basically team that last practice. So the thing that I found once we transitioned there, we go a little bit shorter each practice. Instead of 2 marathon practices, and then you go and take a nap or whatever, it's like pulling teeth to get them to fire back up. We just keep them on the field, hose them down, and go right back to it. And the kids seem to like it better. Coaches definitely like it better. So that's our morning. Yeah, we generally work from locker room opens at 7. We're in meetings at 7:30, on the field at 8, and done by. If everything goes right, practice is done at 2. Kids are completely out of there as fast as they can. So
we're very similar to that. With all of our coaches being teachers, when we do it in the morning, we start at 7, but we're done by 12:30. So we don't take a very long lunch break, about a half hour. We run the last 5 camp days just like 2-a-days. So obviously, it's helmets and shorts, but the same format as 2-a-days. So it's extended a little bit. And everything that we do is based on tempo. Just like Coach was talking about, we don't condition after we're done with the summer conditioning. There's no conditioning, and everything is just fast. Run break, 30 seconds, 45, 40 seconds. Kids are back, their kids will let them stay back, or work back and start to move, and a lot of energy. And I want our guys coaching with a lot of energy all the time. So we're trying to get a lot of work done in a short period of time. Obviously, the other thing has changed in today's time. Kids' attention spans aren't quite as long as they used to be. So we like to keep things moving.
We don't have any teachers on our staff, so we really can't start practice till 4:30. Sometimes we start practice with me and our defensive coordinator, just us 2 out there, and then everybody else kind of runs on to lets out. We go from 4:30 to 6 and 7 to 8:30. Offensive practice, defensive practice. In 2-a-days, we never go too physical. Rarely at all. We're hardly ever physical in practice. We're physical up front, but we never tackle. We never wear pants. It's more like teaching and rep. We try to double everybody's reps. We say by the end of the year, the way we transition from drill to drill, the way we rapid fire reps, we feel like our kids think they quadruple or whatever everybody else's reps that on our schedule. So we're in the evenings at all times. Our kids are there. Sometimes they'll watch practice tape afterwards together. They'll get in the cold tank together, but we try to get them out of there by 9 or 9:30, out of the locker room or out of the stuff. We're really short on the field, and we're not very physical on the field, so kind of unique.
Last session we're going to talk about is player development, and I guess my first question is, I'm going to work little guys up. Your relationship with the junior highs and what they do and how they do it. I mean, for example, does the 6th grade St. Mary's team know how to run 129 buck? Do they call it the same way and the same right step? And I say, I'm gapping right and they know what to do. Or is it, we're starting over, so on and so forth. And we'll go big school, work down.
Okay, so McKinley's in a unique point in time right now, just because a little over a year ago we merged with Canton High School. So before that, the 2 schools, it was open enrollment within the district. So regardless of what middle school you went to, you picked which high school you wanted to go to, and the high schools to a point were hands off because of that. So really we're only going into the 2nd season where we're merged, and I can really have a whole lot of say on the middle school program. So our guys right now do a little bit of what we do at the varsity level, and next year hopefully we'll do significantly more. But it's a process, and you know, we're able to get a couple good coaches at the 2 programs that we have right now, and that pared down from 3 and 4 from years ago and so on. But right now we have 2 middle school programs, Canton Red and Canton Black. This school year, now this is going to be shocking to you guys. It was shocking to me when I got hired. This school year was the first year in history that the middle school programs were wearing Canton McKinley colors and were the Bulldogs. Okay, so think about that. I mean, we had the Lehman, what the hell were they?
Lincoln.
Bears. We had the Crenshaw Cougars. The Crenshaw Cougars were orange. Now who's McKinley's arch rival? Canton Middle School is wearing orange as a primary color, orange and blue. So, you know, it was shocking to me. So this year was the first year that the 7th and 8th grade graders were the Bulldogs and wearing red and black. So, you know, we're a little behind, but we're getting there.
Are you active? Like, are you at every game, or you go to several practices, or many? Some?
I get to as much as I can, and quite frankly, probably not enough. I wish I could be more. Selfishly, my son is a middle school player, so that's one reason. But as the head of the program, you know, the one school is right next to where we are, so we'd be able to real easy when our practice was over, sneak over, catch you at the second half of their game. It was walking distance. But generally, you know, we're still practicing when they're playing.
When you're there, are you, hey, get this left elbow up, or is it, hey, Coach Reardon, come on, Tiger?
It's more around. It's more around rather than try not to step on those guys' toes.
Sure.
You know what I mean? More of a cheerleader and get them done.
They know I'm watching you.
Yep.
I know you're going to do it.
Yep.
Coach Frye?
We don't have 7th grade football. We just got 7th grade football 4 years ago. The club team, and never had it when I was here the first time. And they kept asking me every year, Coach, you want it? And I said, Coach Lockman didn't want it. And I said, well, I'm getting 45 kids out in the 8th grade, and they're play. And we usually, during that time, got handed to us at the 8th grade level. But we didn't end up winning a league championship at the end, and the kids would stick around and like football. So, but when I was gone, they built a new school and put a new turf field out there, which we're not playing at. We're still playing at the old stadium because things don't change very quickly in St. Mary's. But we're practicing out there. So we started a 7th grade club team, which is coached by outside people. So the first thing I did when I got back was brought all those teams to the same location. So now on one side in the locker room, freshmen, our sophomores through seniors are dressing. In the other locker room, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders dressing in that other locker room, and they're, 20 feet away from us right here. And then we got grass practice fields and a turf practice field right there, so they're walking out, talking to our varsity guys. Varsity guys are talking to them after school, so we try to unify them together. And then the advantage is the guys that are coaching those teams now, for the most part, either guys that played for me in the past or guys that got kids that played for me in the past. So, you know, we're able to talk and as we go out to practice and communicate different things. And then we do have a midget football program. I didn't let my sons play until they were 12, and then I made them. We didn't have 7th grade football, so I made them run cross country. And I remember one of my sons coming back afterwards and saying, I never made it to any cross country meetings. I was a little busy at that point. Here my wife was going, I said, how did they do? And she said, they didn't finish first, they didn't finish last. So she basically said, I asked one of the boys after cross country was done, I said, you ever going to do that again? He said, I honestly can only see 2 reasons there to run that far again in my life. I said, what are they? And I was talking to you like a 13-year-old here, and he said, I was hungry enough, I'd run that far. And I said, if I really wanted to punch somebody, to make me mad enough, I'd run that far. So I guess what I'm saying is, at that point, kids were very anxious to get back to football. Now, since then, you know, we have soccer now in our school, so some kids, when we were on that 21-game losing streak, some kids decided to go to a better program at that point, so we lost some kids. So it's probably important for us now to keep our 7th grade club team, try to get those kids involved in football a little bit. And the other thing, our midget program changed was they went to an overweight league now, so some of those bigger kids that didn't have a place to play now have a place if they choose. But I have mixed emotions about midget football. A lot of those guys do a great job down there, but I want them excited to play football. So I have no clue. Last year on our group of seniors who played, we didn't play. I have absolutely no idea. So I kind of take the middle line and I clinic with those guys, and we put a couple clinics on for them, and try the main point we're trying to get across to those guys is, hey, make sure they have a good time, make sure they come back to us at that point. And they are running pretty much the same terminology.
And it's easier being in, I've coached a school that was 6 through 12. It's easier and better, frankly, for the entire program. It's good. You walk down the hallway, oh, there's Coach Birchfield, there's Coach Frye.
It helps.
It helps, and there's, dude, come on, man, I saw you in the lunch line, and even a 6th grader, and that lasts forever. Now, I do have a one sidebar in soccer. Coach Bachman, he said, won 3 state championships, and the man hated soccer, right? They named the field after him, and he said, if you ever play soccer on this field, take the name off the field. Is that true? Is that true?
That's true. That's very true. Yes, yes. Yeah, that was a few of the things he said. Yes.
So they're not playing on that field now, right? They're not playing. They're playing soccer on a different field now, right?
They do not play soccer.
So yeah,
they tried to practice out around there. I think some people see it on the shoe. The soccer coach is on our coaching staff. He coaches our kickers and punters, and he's a great guy. So they come over and they get fun for us. We get along fine. But yeah, that's the area that they haven't touched that field yet. So an honor of Coach Walker, I guess.
Yeah.
Our junior high program, we kind of give them 2 mandates. We have incredible people. Again, they're Minster guys, they're Romans fighting for Rome, that care about our program. So we give them 2 mandates though. Make sure every kid plays. I know it's kind of goofy. Make sure every kid plays, and your goal is to have 100% retention. So we get drilled by Marion locals and Coldwaters and the boys in junior high football, but the last 2 or 3 years we've almost had 100% retention. We've been really, really close. We have 1 or 2 guys, and they rotate. Like in one series, there'll be 11 on, and the next series there'll be 11 new guys on. And we don't have Pee Wee football either, so our 7th grade guys, it takes about 8 weeks to just get them in a stance. It's a mess. The learning curve is insane, but they do our stuff. They try to do our stuff. The best thing we've probably done with them is our staff went and ran a junior high practice. Our goal is to be the best practice team in the country. So we wanted to just kind of teach them how to practice and what we wanted. And it helped our junior high staff. You get 3 to 5 individual drills. You're running from drill to drill. You're trying to do every rep right. Things like that. It was really big for our junior high staff because they're not football guys; they're factory workers too. But they care. They care. They want to do things well. So that was big for us. But as far as junior high stuff, like at game, we attend games if they're home, but we don't go to away games. We just kind of stand off. I tell all our junior high kids, the only thing I want to see is everybody running to the football. You can teach a monkey to run to the football. If you're going to play Minster football for us, you're going to run to the football. So that's the only thing. I don't care if they're in bad stances. We'll fix that. They know how to run power. We don't care. Just run your ass to the
2 final questions. One deal with kids. One deal with kids.
Absolutely. He said something that I really, really believe in, and every level of our program except varsity football, JV, freshman, middle school, whatever, it is mandated that if you are in good standing, meaning you're not a knucklehead in school, you're at practice and all those things, you're acting the right way, you are going to play in the game, period. And I tell JV coaches, freshman coaches, I get more worked up if a guy didn't get in the game than if they lose the game. I can care less if they lose the game. It's developmental football. And everybody gets to play as long as they're in good standing. Now, if they're being punished, that's a different thing, but as long as they're in good standing, they're going to play. And I tell them you better play them in the first half because the second half you're going to try to win the game and get it out of the way in the first half. And that's something I really believe in. It goes back to the retention. And, you know, we're fighting a million things. If a kid's staying on the sidelines as a freshman not playing, why would he come out as a sophomore? You know, keep them interested. I've seen kids develop at dramatically different grades. I've seen great freshmen stink by the time they're seniors and vice versa. So keep them interested, get them come out that next year.
I totally agree with that. The other thing we added on was, what I found was what Coach is saying. I said, you have to get the kid in, but they get him in for one play. Then he was out. So then the next year I said, you have to add a 5th quarter. So they go to the officials are local guys, so they go to him and say, hey, we want to have a 10-play scrimmage after the game. So they'll go to the opponents, coach too, so then they'll have a 10-play scrimmage at the end for about 15 minutes afterwards. Just let those kids, and you get to go out in the field at that point too, and coach those kids up and got in for 1 or 2 plays if they didn't leave them in quite long enough. And we found that's helpful.
Last couple things. Expectations with players. How do you communicate with players expectations? Meaning, I mean, this is the best time of the year because everybody's first team in the weight room. I mean, everybody's excited. Everybody's going to take on the world. How do you, at some point, rationalize or discuss deficiencies, strengths, where you're going to play? Somebody that thinks you're starting quarterback is not going to be. How do you communicate those things with players? All season, in season, kind of open up.
Okay, so for us, the very first thing we do the week after the season ends, whenever that is we meet with all the returning players, have individual meetings, and set goals for the off season, set goals for the next season. And the biggest thing there that I found, and I think this is right, the past few years, maybe more than ever, kids struggle to set goals. They have no idea how to set a goal. Okay, and so what I do, I sit down with every kid with position coaches and or defense coordinator, whatever it is, and we try to set goals. Okay, kid says, well, I want to rush for 2,000 yards. It's like, you didn't play a snap as a freshman. How are you going to rush for 2,000 yards? Yeah, so try to give them, high goals, but goals that they have a chance to attain. And a lot of times that I found in those meetings is that you sit down with the kid and your expectation for where you think he can be next year is much higher than what he has in his mind for whatever reason. Okay, I mean, I see a kid, man, that's a good young athlete. He's just got to get in the weight room, put 10 pounds on it. He can play for us. And this kid's thinking, oh, I'm probably going to be a JV player. So sometimes hearing that from your position coach, from the head coach, helps catapult you into having a great offseason. So that's one thing that I think we do a real good job of. We spend a lot of time that first week. The other thing that does is, as soon as somebody's slacking off in the weight room or skipped a weight room session or whatever, you call them on it. Like, hey, you wrote down you wanted to be all conference, and you skipped weight. And they said it, they wrote it down, they signed their name to it, so you call them on it. And then I think just during the season, I think as coaches, you have a sense when a kid's starting to get frustrated, starting to get disgruntled, and you have to continually communicate. You have to pull them aside. You have to love them up a little bit. Whatever it is, and every kid's a little bit different. But I think just continually doing that stuff, and if you start to sense a kid getting frustrated, I grab this position coach and we pull him out of the hallway and jump on it right now. Figure out what's wrong, get him back on track, whatever the case is. So,
goals and leadership are the two things that I think have slipped the most. Getting a kid to step up, take charge, maybe stand out in front of his buddies, pick off the others. They don't always want to do that. So, from an in-season standpoint, what we make the kids do on Saturday morning, and when they walk back in Monday morning we lift at 6 a.m. with the varsity guys. Monday morning, when they walk in to their position coach, you have to hand them a piece of paper that says, these are the things that I need to improve on from last week's game, and this is what I need to do this week to be successful. So now we know, that position coach knows, are we on the same page here or not? So Monday morning before the school day starts, they talk in their individual groups and read those and talk back and forth, and subtly they readjust it a little bit at that point. And then when the kids come in Monday night for practice, I set the goals for the week, team, special teams, those type of things in a meeting, and they have to post a goal sheet on their locker. And maybe they rethought those goals for Monday morning, and it has to be on their locker all week, and they can adjust it each day if they want. But there has to be the team goals and the individual goals for the week and the day. And then as we walk around, I'll just walk around the lockers. In our locker room, we used to go senior, junior, sophomore, you know, like probably everybody did. We quit doing that 2 years ago. We're going with the leadership teams. So it's sophomores, juniors, and seniors mixed in that area. So when we have attendance in the summer, that leader in that area makes sure that young sophomore had a ride, make sure that sophomore is there, and then I'm not going to treat that young sophomore very much better. I'm going to call the leader over and say, hey, why didn't you take care of that? Maybe they didn't have a ride, there was a problem at home. That's your job as a leader to take care of that. And then as we venture in the off season, then I'll meet with each kid, and sometimes this is the toughest part. I'll just be frankly honest. This is where he said, where you want to go at this point. If I think it's a situation where we're just talking on the way, we got 2 kids vying for a quarterback job, so I'm going to sit down here probably the next couple of weeks and meet with both the parents also, just to explain where it is and where we possibly move the other guy. So I think maybe that's probably the way things have changed a little bit more, is the communication level, getting on the same page has changed so much, and then trying to constantly get kids to social. I mean, they get on Facebook, they can Twitter. I don't have Twitter, so I'm probably not a minority in here. I don't have Facebook either. They can do those things, but they can't actually talk to each other at times. So I know when I went to walk with Canton, years of losing over there, we had to kind of mesh people together. So those guys over there, they had to every day for 2 months meet with these teammates, and they had to know everything about them, their brothers or their sisters, if they had a dog at home or whatever it is. So trying to find ways to get kids to know each other. If you think in a small town, they can know each other. They don't always do that. So it's a year-long process.
Expectations for us, we try to be really intentional about having conversations constantly with kids. We make a list of all of our position group guys, and I know there's only 2 or 3 or 4 of us in the weight room at times, but we try to get to every kid, so there is no confusing information being passed for. They know exactly where they stand. We put so much emphasis on serving our team and embracing your role, and we have really good kids that want to serve and really do embrace their role. That it really, if they don't understand, that's my fault. If they don't understand, that's our receiver coach's fault. If they're disgruntled, like that's on us. Like I think if you have a disgruntled player, like it's your lack of communication with the kids. Will they be frustrated? For sure. Every kid wants to play, but for us, we're so intentional about every single day trying to get to every kid. If you can't get them that day, then you're asked better get them the next day. So it's just constant rotation, conversation after conversation. And then for me in school, I don't really do much at school, so I make it my priority to bump into every single kid during the day and just say, hey, I saw you squat this morning. I feel like you could go harder. Like you're not going to maximize our team if you're not. And we're just constantly at, or hey, that was a hell of a squat day today. Like what you did, that's going to really help our team. And just constant. That takes a ton of effort, a ton of energy, but I think it's benefited our kids. It kind of gives them confidence, and there's never any doubt on where they stand with us. They feel like, I guess they feel like we really care about them and our team. So it's been really good for us.
Last question, the big one. Parents, and I'm going to start with Coach Frye. I heard him talk in 2004, and he said he went to every 8th grader's home and explained that this is what you're getting into with Rough Rider football. I remember that because I've taken that, and I don't have the balls to go to every home of 8th graders, but I think it's a great idea, and I wish I did, and I know it would save me issues. And I think it's a masterful way of communicating and leaving as little. You're never going to leave no confusion, but leaving as little as possible. We'll start with you as being the veteran. Communication with parents or dealing with parents or...
I don't know if there's any perfect way by any means. First year I actually went to everybody's house. We had 100 of them, so I took 100 visits from January to March and went in and sat down and talked to mom and dad and said, here's what we expect. We'd love to see you come out for football. This is on the first outside face in 39 years, and here's what we got. Then it was just the 8th graders after that point, and I don't do that anymore. Probably it's something I should get back to, but I don't have the endurance to go 3 straight months anymore. Man, I need some time off in the wintertime.
So So that's how long it took you?
Yeah, to get through them all. Just calling them, when can I go over there and sit down for a little bit and talk to you. And I got to know the kids real well, and then it got a little easier for me as my own children were coming through, because in every baseball game, town of 10,000 people, or basketball game, or basketball wrestling, I was there, so those kids were starting to come through the school system at that point. And now I've kind of delegated that.